when Jens reached out to me, he suggested that we didn't want a theoretical or a conceptual presentation. You didn't want to understand really where we thought RTB was going and why it was going there. But we can't really get away from concept and theory, simply because we're very much at that early stage in development of the space that a lot of the companies, and even Google, is only just starting to work out where we're going to go with this. So I want to spend a few minutes really giving you a little bit of the background of where Google is thinking the space will end up. What are the things that we at Google and we hope our clients and the industry starts to consider. And then I'll introduce Laurent from myThings, who will give you a little bit more insight into specifics about people using RTB and the kind of value that they as an organization are able to extract from the usage of RTB and the technologies that they're having to develop or that they have developed to really deliver value. Okay, so first of all, when we look at display and we look at data-driven display, we want to make sure that we're focusing on all aspects of display. And we're not talking about just banners on laptops anymore. And so when we look at what we want to deliver at Google from a technological or from a service-driven proposition, it's about making sure that we can deliver both an integrated technology and a solution for all media buying needs. Now this will encompass over the course of time performance and brand. It'll encompass display, dynamic advertising, mobile, search, video, and also performance, all aspects of performance, CPA, CPM. And so I think one of the things that we want to make sure we do is when we build out the functionalities, when we build out technology, and when we build out really value propositions, we don't silo them in the way that the industry has siloed them in the past. We really need to have a view across the user journey, irrespective of where the user or where the action takes place, whether it be on the mobile device, whether they're viewing video at the time or they're on display, even TV. And so we want to make sure that we're in a place where we can deliver the value and deliver the proposition and the message to those users. So we look at the market. The market is big and it's growing at a phenomenal rate. The online space is actually taking on a lot of money from offline media, TV. The amount of money we're seeing shift to online video and to online displays is phenomenal, and we'll see this trend continue in 2012 and 13. Traditional media, the newspapers, the print publishers are actually feeling a little bit of the heat. They're moving a lot of their content online. They're bringing their content to tablets and PCs. And as that content moves, users move and the readership moves. How do we engage and how do we deliver value to those users when they're consuming that media, not on the print, but on a digital device? And then we, at the bottom, have mobile. So mobile is one of those environments which is growing at a rate on its own. It's phenomenal. It's literally the kind of growth that every company likes to see, up and to the right. But the reality is we still haven't worked out how we're going to do mobile. We don't have the technology yet to target mobile. We don't have the ad servers are still trying to catch up on how do we deliver, how do we track, how do we optimize. So there's a lot to do in mobile. And the growth we're seeing in mobile is far exceeding what the technology is able to deliver. And for Google, it's something that we're quite clearly focusing on in the coming months and the next couple of years. And what you see at the bottom is a combination of the products that we feel or we've bought or we've developed. And we're trying to build out a solution which will encompass all different aspects and all different mediums by which you can buy media online. So one of the things that I personally try not to do is use the Luma slide. I think everybody's seen it. It's got lots and lots of logos on there and probably doesn't make much sense to anybody. And what we've tried to do is try to simplify this. But when we even try to simplify it into a handful of rectangles, and we draw the arrows of how people are engaging and trying to buy that media, it's still complicated. We still look at how an advertiser can potentially buy a publisher's impression. And there are many, many ways they can do that. At that moment in time, how do we work out which is the right way to do it? And so that complexity still exists, and no matter how many people we throw at this, the technology needs to catch up, and the technology needs to deliver the performance. So when we looked at the Google story, and as Google moved into display, we focused on three main areas. We felt that when we develop our technology and we deliver solutions to our clients, we need to focus on these three things. First of all, efficiency. Without efficiency, we look at the solutions as we have them today, and we look at the processes by which people buy media today. And everybody who's in the space will tell you they're very clunky. It takes, depending on how good a fax machine you have, will determine how many impressions you can book in any given day. And so as and when we look at efficiency, we need to make sure that the efficiencies that we want to deliver in the space actually translate to actual efficiencies that buyers and sellers can translate and can use. We'll talk a little bit about performance. Without performance, efficiency gains mean nothing. And then finally, differentiation. So looking at efficiency, we talk throughout 2010 for the people who are very close to the space. Then as a general industry in 2011, everybody was talking about RTB, real-time bidding. This is what we all need to do. And the reality is, when we look at what a buyer needs to do to deliver a campaign, the actual process of buying is just one aspect of what they need to do. So yes, RTB helps with the buying rectangle that you see there. And it will deliver value and it will deliver efficiency and you can deliver good performance. But it's just one aspect. The second part is creation, so ads. How quickly and how accurately can you deliver a customized ad to the user? How can you differentiate the message to the user? How do you deliver a different action from the user depending on the message? And how does that action then influence the next message? So real time isn't just about buying. It's not just about bidding. It's about making sure that we can make real time across the board. So advertising, creating the ad in real time is important. Trafficking. So I don't know if anybody here has done trafficking in their life, but it's a really fun job. Lots of people do trafficking and they enjoy it immensely. The reality is it takes an absolute age to do trafficking, and you do it multiple times for one campaign. So how can we make that process more efficient? If we can find those users who are, or those people at the agencies and at the buyers who are trafficking their campaigns in DFA, we're not exempt from the inefficiencies. How do we make that process more efficient? So we're working on making that the number of paths you need to do, the number of times you need to traffic the ad. If we can reduce that, we add efficiency. And then finally, all of this doesn't make sense if you can't action the data that you have. So all of this will deliver, you deliver the campaign, you buy the campaign, you deliver your impression, you deliver the right message, and you monitor and track that action, and you pull a report. If that report's not in real time, and you don't have the data in the report that then becomes actionable, so that the next impression you buy is based on that data, once again, it doesn't add value. So the efficiencies need to be across the board, not just in RTB. And if we can do that, you'll find a lot of the people that are doing these mundane jobs, they'll have more time. And you can have those people focus that time on doing something that actually influences performance. They can do optimization, they can do trending, they can look at the data and analyze the data and deliver good optimization techniques. And that leads me to the next point. So if all these efficiencies we bring in through the technologies are adding value, we need to make sure that those efficiencies are also driving performance. So we talk about data. Data, everybody's talking about data. Everybody's either going to be doing a lot of data, is going to be buying a lot of data, is going to have a lot of data. All that data makes very little difference if you can't action it. And so finding the data and being able to take that data and apply it to significant scale of inventory, to be able to find those users in multiple places and to be able to target the users depending on where they're on, what they're doing at that moment in time is going to be important. We talk about finding the audience then. Obviously, finding the audience is important. We don't want to get into a situation where everybody is targeting the same user 20, 30, 40, 50 times just for the sake of targeting them. We want to make sure that we're able to leverage the data not only that we use to apply the campaign, but the data we get back from the campaign to influence what we do in the next stage. And one of the things that we put in at the bottom there is, preventing bidding against yourself. This is something that is very rife. Everybody's doing real-time bidding, but they're doing real-time bidding in multiple places, through multiple technologies, and they are ultimately bidding against themselves. So how do we make sure that we can add those efficiencies and the performance so that you don't artificially increase the price? And then finally, engaging the user and engaging the customer. This is probably one of the key things that there's an age-old adage, find the right user and deliver the right message to the right user at the right time, at the right place. The technology is now here to be able to do that. The reality is, how do we do it? Who does it? When do we do it? And those are the things that we really need to work on now. So finding the right user, improving the user experience is going to be extremely key. And then the last point that we put in there, I think is the key thing here, is measuring your impact. We need to be able to do, whatever we do, regardless of how we do it, we need to be able to measure the impact. And the data and the technology that Google is providing, and a lot of our clients and a lot of the technologies that plug into AdX are providing, is the ability to do all of what you see here. And then the final point for me here is differentiation. I think one of the key things that, Google has two parts to its business. We have what we call the platforms business. So we do technology. And then we have the media part of the business. And so GDN and Invite. So within the media part of the business, we want to build technologies that for our buyers, for our advertisers that use our technology, those clients, we want to make sure that they're able to integrate their data. They're able to leverage their own their own data and their own analyses, and leverage that to deliver performance and value. They need to be able to differentiate their service and their optimization techniques through the technology that we provide. So one of the things that we're doing is building this media business that a lot of you have probably used. We also have the platform side of the business. So this is our ad server. This is the ad exchange. Things like TerraSent, for example, for dynamic creative. And we're building out many, many more functionalities and technologies to be able to deliver to the platforms clients. And within the platforms clients, what we want to be able to do is give you the ability to differentiate. So we give you a technology. You determine as a buyer how you use the technology. You determine as a buyer how you integrate the technology, what you layer on top of the technology. You build a service layer, you build an optimization layer. And then finally, one of the key things that we also need to be very clear about is, Google wants to be and is becoming very, very open in how it integrates those technologies. So one of the things that we want to make sure we do is we don't bucket people into, you use our technology, and by using our technology, you'll be the best media agency in the world. There will be environments and there'll be technologies which do things better or differently. And I think what we want to be able to do is, for those people who feel that they have the technologies, that they're able to integrate and leverage their technologies and differentiate their offering while still having access to what they want from Google. And one of those companies that I'm going to introduce now is myThings Media. It's an organization which has built out its own technology, it's built out its own optimization, it's built out its own offering, it's developed its own proposition, but wanted to get access to elements of what Google can offer. So an infrastructure for RTB, an environment where they can play off ideas, a lot of account management and customer service. So what I want to be able to do is introduce now Laurent Gibb, who's the VP for Publishers at myThings Media. And he'll talk to you a little bit about what his organization does and how they're looking to take on RTB and deliver value to their advertisers.
So thanks, Tanzil. So it's great to be here today and share the successes we've had with Google AdX. And what it's done for us in terms of helping us grow our business and boosting the performance of our campaigns. So something which isn't new, obviously display is evolving. Retargeting's been around for over 10 years with Boomerang initially, then dynamic personalized retargeting a few years ago, RTB coming along last year, and this year it's all about the data and overlaying first, third party, and interesting other data onto each cookie to make the buys even more efficient. So a bit about myThings first of all. So this is how we tend to think of ourselves. So myThings is a global leader in CPA retargeting. We offer a flexible business model, so it can be CPM, it can be CPC, it can be CPA. But of course, most of our advertisers prefer CPA. If you're going to offer an advertiser clicks or sales, it's obvious they want sales. We operate in 10 markets, and to date we've generated over 8 million conversions for these advertisers. We've got about 300 live customers with many well-known brands like Orange, Microsoft, Zalando, serving over 1 billion ads, 1 billion personalized retargeted ads a month with a reach of over 80%. And we also process over 500 million bid requests per day. So personalized retargeting, I'll just go over this very quickly. I'm sure most of you in this room know what it is anyway. So our core product is about driving incremental sales to advertisers. The way we do this is that the merchants embed our code onto their site. That allows us to see a user's behavior, to cookie a user completely anonymously. And when a user leaves the advertiser's website, as happens in 98% of cases, we're able to find that user again on our network of publishers and show them a real-time banner based on their browsing behavior on the merchant's website. And hopefully they'll click on it and they'll go back to the merchant's website and they'll generate a sale. Why is this so great? Well, we're taking a massive risk. We're buying on a CPM, and if there's no sale at the end, the merchant doesn't charge us at all. Furthermore, we also depend on third-party tracking systems for the merchant, for the affiliate platforms, and for the agencies to tell us which sales we've generated and which sales we haven't. So, unlike some of our competitors who exist in their little bubble and report their sales, we depend on third-party systems to tell us which sales we've generated and which sales we haven't. And this is vitally important because we need to know the exact value of a user when we're going to buy that user on RTB. So essentially it's about showing the right ad to the right person at the right time. The ads, they're not particularly pretty, but they're highly functional. And you could say there's a bit of branding in there. Obviously there's the brand's logo. But they're a cross between display and search engine marketing with all the necessary information for a user to be able to make an informed purchase decision. The image, the title, the price, the shipping, availability, and so on. And each ad we show, every single of those billion ads a month is completely unique to each user based on their behavior. We work with many top-tier brands, mainly e-commerce, generally across retail, travel, some services. The reason behind this is to be able to generate those real-time banners, we need to work with an advertiser that has a catalog, a product-driven site, so that we can pull those products into the banner in real time. So on the supply side, we work with over 200 direct European publishers. We work with all of the ad exchanges, all of the most important RTB providers, of which Google is a very important part, as well as many local publishers through static buys. We think of ourselves as RTB leaders. We were one of the first companies a few years back to integrate RTB. We're one of the top 5 spenders on Google AdX, and we're told by several of our RTB partners that we have best-in-class bidder technology with 100% call-out rates and 0 error calls. That means we're pretty good and it works well, basically. And at peak times, we're probably handling in excess of 50 million bid requests every hour. So to be able to buy a cookie efficiently, there needs to be a lot of stuff going on in the background. And it's not just about recognizing a user that's been to an advertiser that's seen a product. That's easy. Anybody can do that. And in fact, many do. But it's being able to buy in a really granular way and replicate that performance at scale. And that's the trick. And we use hundreds of different data dimensions whether it's products that have been viewed on an advertiser's site. It can be data from the advertiser's CRM system. It can be third-party from publishers and other suppliers to give us that really comprehensive insight of that user to buy them in the most effective way. So when we first started discussing RTB with Google, we really wanted to figure out what was going to make the difference and allow us to scale and buy in the best way possible. And we had all this really rich information, hundreds and hundreds of data points for the users, real granularity, and we wanted to match that to the impressions we were buying in real time. And of course, we wanted to improve our margins, to generate better results for our advertisers, and obviously to get bigger budgets. So, myThings and Google partnering for success. I love this slide. So we've been working together since 2010, and actually, joking aside, it's been a great relationship, but in terms of from a technological standpoint, it's been pretty complex, and it's not been a straight road. So one of the good things with Google is that they have an interface, and to get up and running was pretty much took us a couple of days to set up all of our campaigns across Europe. So to get going was pretty fast. We immediately realized the power of RTB and what it would mean from transitioning static buys to dynamic buys. And from day one, we decided we were gonna transition to this as fast as possible. It took us 2 months, and that was the easy bit. So the first phase was just connecting servers and making sure they were speaking to each other properly, and that was really quite straightforward. But then it was all about all this data, this granularity, and figuring out how to buy that impression in the best way possible. And we realized it wasn't just about connecting two servers and maybe a bit of additional logic. We actually had to build our own bidder, and that involved several algorithms and several pretty complicated processes in the background. So it took us another 2 months, really an iterative process to get us to a situation where we're really bidding in a much more fluid way. So I think one thing which surprised us that we worked really quite closely with Google, and we both learned from each other. We were taking two completely separate systems and trying to really merge, not merge them, but connect them in the best, most efficient way possible. And that really required a lot of work between our technical teams. The first part was pretty smooth, the server-to-server integration. And obviously Google had done that with a few other RTB buyers already, so that was straightforward. But the logic behind the bidder came next, and that was more complicated, and it required pretty big determination on both sides to keep it going. It was one step forward, 2 steps back, and just pretty complex. But we got there in the end. But fortunately, obviously with the online interface, we were already buying and applying learnings to our buys for Google AdX inventory. Another great thing about the partnership, about the tools provided, is the reporting and analysis. And some are automated, some are ad hoc, and this type of information actually taught us more about our systems than we actually knew. So we had lots of information about call-out rates, bid rates, error rates, and that really helped us to pinpoint the areas of improvements. We also set quarterly business reviews and really like a project to set goals and decide where we're going. So although it was really automated, there was quite a big element of working together. I have to say that Tanzil and his team have been really amazing. So we've had daily communication whenever we need, really highly responsive team. One day, So one Saturday at midnight, we got alerts in our system, and basically all our campaigns were going offline. Nobody knew why. We had alerts going on. We're an Israeli company. Basically, everybody was up, bouncing all over the place and trying to figure out what was going on. We reached out to them, and amazingly, half the team replied to us, and by 1 o'clock in the morning, it was all fixed. So that was really impressive. I think probably the strongest technical support and tools out of all RTB providers. Also several site visits to our R&D team in Israel to really get to the bottom and understand our product have really helped. The RTB flow, on the top of it, it's really quite simple what we're doing. We're doing this process hundreds of million times, 500 million times a day. And really we're receiving a bid opportunity. We're detecting that cookie. Do we know that user or not? If we do, we're deciding whether we want to bid on that cookie or not. We send that bid back to Google. They tell us if we've won. And then we create a dynamic banner. And we decide which advertiser to show, which products to show. But this happens in less than 2 milliseconds and over 10,000 times each second. So what we've built is really something quite scalable and automated, and compared to traditional static campaigns, this level of automation, this level of granularity would be completely impossible. In addition, so as I was briefly mentioned at the start, we've got our data. We're also layering other bits of data from our advertisers. Not all clients, not all users on an advertiser site are worth the same thing. They have CRM data. They can tell us if a user is worth more than another. We have data of our own, product data. We have data from publishers. And we're using all of this to have really this incredible granularity about the cookies and to know their exact value at any given time so that we can bid on that impression and hopefully win it. The results have been, well, we've been delighted by them basically. 50% increase in impressions, over 1,000% increase in queries per second. At the start, we were just aiming for 500 queries per second, and at times we thought we'd never get there because it was just so complicated in terms of integrating. And Google's fantastic reach. So so we work with many RTB platforms, and a lot of them have got big reach, but Google really has the biggest. We find 4 times more users than other RTB exchanges in all the core markets we're in. And the really great thing is that we're physically present in 10 countries, but if we have an advertiser that wants to go live, I don't know, in Russia, in Latin America, anywhere, we can launch a campaign in 10 minutes, and it'll be live, it'll be running through Google AdX. So it gives us immediate presence and reach. And RTB in general, as well as working with Google, has allowed us to really grow the business. We've had a 4-digit growth over the past 2 years. Our CTRs, because of the granularity and how we can buy, are 6 times higher than they were. And really importantly, for a CPA business, our conversion rates have increased to 150%, which really delights our advertisers, because for them it's all about generating those important sales. So with such great results, we simply had to tell the world about it. And about 6 months ago, we did a case study with Google AdX, just explaining pretty much what I've been describing today, the integration, the different ways of working, how we've been valuing the cookies and so on. And it's available at that link if you're interested. And that's it.
One question I have for you, Laurent. You just said it just takes 2 milliseconds until you get the reply from Google if the bid won the auction or not. Yeah. How is that possible? It just takes that long to travel a few kilometers for a signal. Does it mean your servers are in the same data center like Google, or was that a wrong number? So
the target is around 100 milliseconds, but the whole logic behind identifying and sending it back is super fast, and it can be that fast, yeah. Okay, you mean the 2 milliseconds was just the processing time, not the traveling time for the signal? Yeah, for us to respond to decide if we want the cookie.
end to end, it's 100 milliseconds.
Okay.
And so the processing time usually takes between 20 to 30 milliseconds at myThings, or at most clients. But then there's going to be the space, it's going to take some time to travel the distance.
Of course.
But the quicker you can do that, the better it is, obviously.
Okay.
So to serve the ad is obviously going to be longer.
Okay. There's another question. Do we have a microphone? Where's the mic?
Hi. You said you built the bidder in about 2 months.
Yeah.
May we know how many people were involved in building that?
So it was the basic version of the bidder. We're still building it after a year and constantly improving it. We had a very, very small team where we still think of ourselves as a startup. We had maybe 10 people working on it, and not full-time.
Okay, and the last question, your CTRs are in what range did you say?
So the CTRs depend greatly by advertiser and by vertical, and also by market, and also by publisher. On average, I'd say our CTRs are around 0.6%, if you want a fixed number, but they can be well over 1%, and they can also be 0.1%, but the average is 0.6.
Thank you.
There was another question over there.
Thank you. You said that you were able to integrate the CRM data of your customers into your system. Are you doing that already, or is it just a potential?
So we've done that already, and it was mainly driven by our largest clients who spend a lot with us. Obviously, not all user is worth the same. So a repeat user who's already loyal to an advertiser is just worth that transaction. Whereas a user who's going to become a lifelong user of an advertiser is worth significantly more. So advertisers can pass us all sorts of data that they have in their CRM system, so that we can adapt our bidding strategy.
One more question. It's unbelievable. You got 3. Yeah. You got 3 questions already. Me.
Carsten from Advertise. If you had one incremental euro to invest, would you rather invest in additional speed and computational power in order to make faster decisions with the existing data, or would you rather integrate more data and keeping the other parameter constant?
That's a very, very good question. So I think integrating more data, what we find, so there's a lot of data actually. If it's advertiser-specific data, that can have a massive impact on a campaign. Whereas obviously if we're going to improve our technology, it's going to impact all advertisers, so that's also good.
I think just from to answer the question from a more general perspective, I think you'll probably find that a lot of people have a lot of data. And so if a lot of people had extra money to spend on what to do with data rather than buying new data, our advice would be just try to work out what to do with the data you have better. I think we're not at the stage yet where buyers and advertisers are able to fully monetize the data that they do have. Layering on additional data on either poor quality or poorly understood data is probably not a good thing to do. Clients like myThings and Sociomantic and a lot of the retargeters are going that one step further, but it's just one step. There's many, many more steps to go with really making data actionable and more useful. So my advice would be make sure you continue to deliver or understand your data better and make it more actionable. And once you feel like you've exhausted that, then you've got plenty more data sources and plenty more segmentation logics that you can really go after.
Yeah, when we started looking at data, we thought getting a lot of data, meaningful data, would be a problem. That's just not the case. There's just plenty of data. It's really making sense of it all, especially fresh data.
Very good. Thank you very much. We don't have any more time for any more questions anyway, but you got more than anyone else before. So thank you very much, Laurent and Tanzil.